By the end of this section, you will be able to discuss the 3 basic functions of memory. Describe the 3 stages of memory storage. Describe and distinguish between procedural and declarative memory and semantic and episodic memory. Memory is an information processing system. Therefore, we often compare it to a computer. Memory is the set of processes used to encode, store, and retrieve information over different periods of time. Figure 8.2. A diagram shows 3 boxes placed in a row from left to right, respectively titled encoding, storage, and retrieval. One right-facing arrow connects encoding to storage, and another connects storage to retrieval. Figure 8.2. Encoding involves the input of information into the memory system. Storage is the retention of the encoded information. Retrieval, or getting the information out of memory and back into awareness, is the 3rd function. Link to learning. Watch this video about the neuroscience of memory to learn more. Encoding. We get information into our brains through a process called encoding, which is the input of information into the memory system. Once we receive sensory information from the environment, our brains label or code it. We organize the information with other similar information and connect new concepts to existing concepts. Encoding information occurs through automatic processing and effortful processing. If someone asked you what you ate for lunch today, more than likely you could recall this information quite easily. This is known as automatic processing, or the encoding of details like time, space, frequency, and the meaning of words. Automatic processing is usually done without any conscious awareness. Recalling the last time you studied for a test is another example of automatic processing. But what about the actual test material you studied? It probably required a lot of work and attention on your part in order to encode that information. This is known as effortful processing. Figure 8.3. A photograph shows a person driving a car. Figure 8.3. When you first learn new skills, such as driving a car, you have to put forth effort and attention to encode information about how to start a car, how to brake, how to handle a turn, and so on. Once you know how to drive, you can encode additional information about this skill automatically. Credit Robert Baker. What are the most effective ways to ensure that important memories are well encoded? Even a simple sentence is easier to recall when it is meaningful. Anderson, 1984. Read the following sentences. Bransford and Maccarrell, 1974. Then look away and count backwards from 30 by 3s to 0. And then try to write down the sentences, no peeking back, at this page. The notes were sour because the seams split. The voyage wasn't delayed because the bottle shattered. The haystack was important because the cloth ripped. How well did you do? By themselves, the statements that you wrote down were most likely confusing and difficult for you to recall. Now, try writing them again, using the following prompts: bagpipe, ship christening, and parachutist. Next, count backwards from 40 by 4s. Then check yourself to see how well you recalled the sentences this time. You can see that the sentences are now much more memorable because each of the sentences was placed in context. Material is far better encoded when you make it meaningful. There are 3 types of encoding. The encoding of words and their meaning is known as semantic encoding. It was first demonstrated by William Bousfield, 1935, in an experiment in which he asked people to memorize words. The 60 words were actually divided into 4 categories of meaning, although the participants did not know this because the words were randomly presented. When they were asked to remember the words, They tended to recall them in categories, showing that they paid attention to the meanings of the words as they learnt them. Visual encoding is the encoding of images, and acoustic encoding is the encoding of sounds, words in particular. To see how visual encoding works, read over this list of words: car, level, dog, truth, book, value. If you were asked later to recall the words from this list, which ones do you think you'd most likely remember? You would probably have an easier time recalling the words car, dog, and book, and a more difficult time recalling the words level, truth, and value. Why is this? Because you can recall images, mental pictures, more easily than words alone. When you read the words car, dog, and book, you created images of these things in your mind. These are concrete, high imagery words. On the other hand, abstract words like level, truth, and value are low imagery words. High imagery words are encoded both visually and semantically. Pivio, 1986. Thus building a stronger memory. Now let's turn our attention to acoustic encoding. You are driving in your car and a song comes on the radio that you haven't heard in at least 1